We are live. This is the market update. Michael Saylor, beast mode, buys 12,000 Bitcoin. What does it mean? What are the threats to crypto, if any? Will you have to be patient or will you have to buy it at 30K like Saylor? I will tell you. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live, and if the content works for you, hit the like button. Today is the 100th live stream since I have gone out on my own. Let me say very briefly and very sincerely, I want to thank every single person who watches the show regularly. I want to welcome anybody who's new and invite them to stay. But obviously, there's no show without you. All right, let's welcome who is here. Wrong again, first on the stream. June close above 29K puts us back in the 2021 range. Okay. Silas says Bill has been abducted by aliens. Bill has been under the weather, but has not been abducted by aliens. Bull Runner, FD White, thank you. I appreciate that. A better shot is here at the start, right? AZ is here. Welcome with some kind words. Okay. Johnny K, appreciate you, my man. Fernando, LFG, Nico, thank you for the 100th live stream love. Okay. Rinky Dunk says, I'm on my 10th YouTube account. I keep getting banned. All right. Well, I tend not to say anything controversial on YouTube. However, I am not afraid to say what I need to say on Twitter or on crypto_noble on TikTok. Laughing Dolphin is here, thanking me for 100 shows. Appreciate that. Carlos, welcome. I deeply appreciate you too. Thank you for those kind words. I am here for you. It's time to get ready for a rock and roll summer where we're probably going to have up, down, or as one of my colleagues reminded me, don't forget your own line. The bigger the base, the higher in the space. And Great Filibuster says, I fully plan on being around for live stream 1000, where I will have 1 million followers. Okay. Jolene Gasconi is here. Welcome. Okay. I'm diving into the news. Ladies and gentlemen of the financial world, guess what? The Bundesbank is insolvent. What's the Bundesbank? Is that the German Silicon Valley Bank? No, it's not. It's the Central Bank of Germany. Once upon a time in the 90s, when I was a young man, I started in the currency market. And the most fearsome, the most ferocious, the bank that kept us up at night was the Bundesbank. If they didn't like what the currency market was doing, they would get on the tape and tell us to cut the crap. And that's all they would have to do is make a simple statement, and we'd all go running and scurrying like mice. Now, the Bundesbank appears to have a bit of a problem. Its bond portfolio has a boo-boo, meaning that they bought all this negative interest rate debt as a part of the ECB's plan to print money. And now, as interest rates skyrocket, their bond portfolio has blown up. So, one question you might want to ask yourself is, well, how does a central bank either go out of business or recapitalize itself? I mean, private sector banks can borrow from central banks as a last resort, but who lends money to central banks? I mean, I guess the ECB is going to have to take care of it, but this is not funny because if it's happening to the Bundesbank, it's happening to the ECB. It's happening. We know it's happening to the Bank of Japan, and it's happening to the Fed. So I keep coming up with ideas about black swans, and they keep coming out before I think the black swan happens in September or October. If you want to know why Bitcoin is up, here's the headline, and that's the 100th market update. We'll see you next time. No, just kidding. This is not funny about the Bundesbank. This is the biggest headline in the market today. Now, New York pizza party. Let's talk about the pizza party. So apparently there's some discussion with the government in New York about pizza ovens. And people have taken to throwing pizza the way they threw tea over into the Boston Harbor back in 1776. Very interesting astrological alignment going on with the planet Pluto that harkens back to not only 1776, but the French Revolution. Now, here we're chucking pizza, okay? And later on in this tweet, you'll see a guy have to get a summons from a cop who knows that he's being filmed by other people. Now, I'm going to say something really strange. I actually feel sorry for the cop that had to write this summons, because I bet that cop wanted to pick up pizza and throw it over the fence at City Hall as well. Okay? But he was on camera, and his bosses would probably not appreciate, okay, or his boss's bosses would not appreciate this. Okay? I grew up in New Jersey. If you cannot make pizza in New York City, you do not live in a free society. It's as simple as that. This guy actually says, what is New York without pizza? Okay. And if there was ever a reason to sit down with a notebook and come up with a tactical plan for this summer to try to figure out when the buy point is. For example, my co-host Toby and I, mostly Toby, is thinking September is the first point. So if you have the September, October debacle, things get started in September, you get the correction. There's a floor underneath crypto as legacy caves in November. And then for Christmas, you want to get yourself some crypto. However, Bitcoin, famous for the guy who bought pizza with Bitcoin. I'm telling you right now, this is the shot heard around the world this week. This and RFK bench pressing and doing push-ups so that, men can be men without it being somehow a negative for society, right? RFK at Bitcoin Miami, RFK on Joe Rogan, the pizza party in New York, Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin. What do they all have in common? We're pushing back against the dystopia. We are pushing back. And my advice to you is to keep pushing. BRC20 tokens, NFTs on Bitcoin. Why bring this up? Well, if you're going to speculate, this may be where the speculation begins. You might have an NFT or BRC token, BRC20 token summer. Remember DeFi summer back in 2020? Everybody's looking at meme coins. I'm wondering if something's going to take off in BRC20. As one co-host, one YouTuber, Oh Hey Maddie, reminded me a long time ago, is that the harder it is to figure something out, the harder it is to buy it, the more the learning curve you have to do to buy something like these BRC20 tokens and NFTs on Bitcoin, the more money there is to be made. Okay? Now, a word on what would make crypto go down, if anything. So Nevada forces a shutdown of a crypto custodian because it owes millions to customers. Okay. Creditors are seeking a BlockFi liquidation claiming fraud. So there is crypto out there that needs to get sold. So in the event somebody panics and decides to unload on a liquidation, that could be your dip, right? The more gross the headline, the more you want to grab it up. Now, here's something I really like. Ethereum won't exceed 2,000 anytime soon. Wow. So Ethereum has underperformed Bitcoin massively. We know this. I expected it. Okay. That may be coming to an end. Stay tuned for that chart. But you better be careful. You better be careful with Ethereum is dead. What may be dead is a large part of the altcoin space. And that money may wind up flooding into Ethereum eventually. I can actually see a thrust in Ethereum above 2,000 before a correction. Be careful with Ethereum is dead because if huge parts of the altcoin market just vaporize later on next quarter, ETH is going to be the beneficiary. Don't trade with the media. KuCoin is going to introduce mandatory KYC. Thank God. Can we please get these crypto exchanges so that investment banks, and the SEC cannot attack them? Amazon to invest $100 million in generative AI. A few points about AI. One, AI is the best way to fight inflation. This comes from a guy named Jordy Visser, who I used to work for at Morgan Stanley. Jordy is telling people that AI allows for better productivity and allows businesses to provide services at lower prices. It's the same thing that happened with the internet and the PC from 1998 to 2000. So AI is actually the best way to fight inflation and do things cheaper. This is, of course, a good thing as long as you and me can keep our jobs, right? So as long as we're not part of, businesses providing things in a cheaper fashion, it's a good thing. On the contrary, on the other side, it's also a reminder that AI froth may be priced into the equity market everywhere. Right? In other words, the equity market seems like wildly toppy, wildly overexcited about AI. So crypto, Galaxy Digital, MicroStrategy, that seems way better than Nvidia now, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Jim Cramer just said, I'll show you the tweet in a minute. What he just said about NASDAQ theoretically could mark the top. Seriously, it could mark the top. You could have a sideways to lower range now, and you could have messy in September. Okay, I don't necessarily want to get short tech stocks, but when you see everybody piling into AI at the top, you really have to wonder. The great accumulation of Bitcoin has begun, says Gemini's Winklevoss. Okay, not a big fan of Winklevoss and friends. Okay, mainly because of the way they treated an ex-boss, Charlie Shrem, but the guy's right. In other words, you have 3 to 4 months to get some of this stuff before it takes off. Now, in case you feel bad about having to pay 30 for Bitcoin, don't. It's Michael Saylor's average price. Michael Saylor's been buying Bitcoin for 2 years. He bought a lot of it at the top. His average price is 30K. You're buying it where Michael's buying it. And that guy's a beast, because what a lot of people have probably already forgotten is how many downturns and bear markets he had to live with, right? His average price 1 year, I want to say his 2021 or 2022 average price, one of those years was like 48K. I think it was 2021, 48K, right? He had to live and see it go down to 16. Okay. Over the last decade, Bitcoin has gained an average of 11% during the month of July. Hence the prior saying, "I in July and let it fly." Okay. The last 3 years, 27%, 20%, 24%. Now, I don't doubt that Bitcoin could go to 35K. You may have to trade that. You don't have to trade it right this second. Okay. But obviously, everybody came out. Citadel, Fidelity, BlackRock, all this bullish news came out. Everybody's got to get out of stocks or wants to get out of stocks. Nobody wants to buy bonds, right? Everybody, including Powell, knows that there's a currency crisis coming. More on that. So if you want to know about the crisis in the dollar that's unfolding as we speak, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Okay, stablecoin debacle deepens on Binance. TrueUSD drops to 80 cents against Tether. Gensler will have one more shot at stablecoins and DeFi before he's finally done. It could be July. It could be September. Looking at this, you may hear from Gensler sooner rather than later if there is another stablecoin debacle. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I actually don't blame the Fed for questioning stablecoins. They and the Treasury are supposed to control the supply of dollars. Yes, it's good to have alternatives in crypto, but if you have a stable coin blow up, that is going to bring in regulators, just like I told you the meme coin nonsense brought in Gensler. So crypto people behaving badly brings in Gensler, but as we know, that's going to bring in a dip. Now, if you do get a dip, I'm sure it'll look terrible. That's what you have to remember. On one hand, you say, well, it probably won't dip. It'll probably be sideways to up. But if it does dip, it'll probably look like, oh my God, something has changed. It could be interest rates. It could be Binance. Just keep an open mind and remember the plan. Jack Dorsey, in some sort of laughable attempt to remain relevant, questions Apple's Tim Cook over why Bitcoin is not supported on Apple's platforms. Well, Apple knows it's going to have to come out with a phone that's a crypto wallet. I'm sure it's in development. They won't have to do that either until Samsung or the Solana phone gets released. So on one hand, Jack Dorsey's a big Bitcoin guy. On the other hand, he sat at the top of Twitter while they censored everybody. Okay. Not trying to knock the guy. I guess he was playing the Silicon Valley game, but Apple is going to have to get with the Bitcoin program eventually, right? They're just not going to be the first person to do anything because they never are. One thing about Apple as a point of trivia, that stock now accounts for 7% of the S&P 500. That's like saying that stock accounts for 7% of like the value of the US economy. That's not exactly true, but you know, does Apple really rule the world if you think about it? Okay, the EU publishes a digital euro with privacy controls. EU clarifies its smart contract kill switch. In other words, the governments are getting real about the future of crypto. It's here. Crypto miners sent $1 billion in Bitcoin to exchanges over the last 2 weeks. My guess is Bitcoin miners are going to have to pay higher prices for power going forward. It's a hot summer. It's 107 degrees in Texas. I can't even go outside. So if miners have to pay more for power, that may be the supply of Bitcoin, and that may be the dip. That may be the dip. Selling can come from strange places. Speaking of that, it is pretty scary that, they can't approve a spot ETF, but they can allow equities retail to get double levered long Bitcoin now that they have a leveraged Bitcoin futures ETF. Retail always buys the top in equities. So if they buy the top in Bitcoin, like if there is something that makes me want to hold off, every time they release a new financial product, the original Bitcoin ETF at the top, the Coinbase IPO at a top, they released this leveraged Bitcoin ETF after everybody has moved monies from stock to crypto. A little scary, not a lot scary, but a little scary, right? So equities retail buys the top. BlackRock ETF application led to biggest crypto inflows in a year. And every time I see this guy, I want to play the Darth Vader theme song, right? Guys like this are sometimes, I think, why people pick on men in general. Because this guy has way too much power and he's moving in to take over Bitcoin or to get as much control over Bitcoin as he can or get as much Bitcoin as he can. Okay. A lot of people think institutions coming to Bitcoin is good. It is, and it isn't, right? You don't want all the Bitcoin in the world in the hands of big institutions who answer to the government. It defeats the purpose. But for the moment, it's all bullish. Now, crypto jokes aside, so there's like shock jock rage. Okay, so I did a little bit of that. The simple fact of the matter is, guys like this want Bitcoin because they know there's going to be a currency crisis, right? A currency crisis. Okay. That's why he wants Bitcoin. That's why Powell's telling everybody Bitcoin's not going anywhere. It's that simple, right? Caroline from New Zealand. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the show. welcome to the show. Bitcoin, no longer the crypto of choice for illicit crypto activity. No shit, right? Chainalysis can have a knuckle dragger agent with a badge and a gun reading the Bitcoin blockchain. They've been training them for years. Okay. Israel seizes money from Iranian, right, military groups using Chainalysis software. I mean, you know, I think these guys can even read privacy coins. And of course, you've got Michael Saylor here. Right now, he's got $4 billion worth of Bitcoin. 4 billion. Count it. Okay. Now let's see who else is here. Okay, Huckleberry Native, Bavid, welcome. G Money. Thank you. Okay, Jeff says BlackRock is evil. Wrong again, says he's sick of waiting for the dip. A lot of times when people are sick of waiting for a dip, they buy and then it comes. One of the hardest things to do with markets like this, when everybody knows it's going up, is to wait. My recommendation, not investment advice, is to have small positions. That way you're involved. You know you have it. If it goes to 35, you participate. And then if it comes back down again, then you can grab it. Okay? A lot of people say if you miss it, you miss it. I think in Bitcoin, you got to have something. The biggest problem with Bitcoin could be our bond market and what happens to altcoins. You may feel better in Bitcoin about the dip when you see some of these altcoin charts. Okay, Bubba, you're never too late. You're never too early. You're right on time. Okay, Thomas is here. Silas, Jeff, Justin, language trainer, welcome. Lawn Shark, these are the people from East Tennessee who make the stream. Okay, who make the stream. Okay, Brandon, I am not big on perp, right? Last cycle stuff will not be next cycle stuff. Digital Bobby from Los Angeles, welcome. Crypto Clan, Illuminatics, welcome. Rinky Donk, hi. Okay, PowerPoint. This is your market update. This may be the first time since 2020 that Saylor does not buy the top. That's a kind of an interesting comment, right? Saylor's average price here is 28,100. Most likely, if there is a dip, right? Frequently, these type of big prices, like the average price of the biggest holder, okay, can come and the price can, you know, return and get pinned at 28,000. So you're right. Saylor probably is not buying the top, but if there is a dip, his average price is the best technical analysis indicator I could come up with for a Bitcoin trade. Interesting upward sloping channel in XRP. If altcoins get wasted and XRP holds 47 cents, you know there will be buyers when XRP wins that lawsuit. Gold. We're going to talk about gold and we're going to talk about the dollar. There's a 13 bottom and a 9 bottom in GLD. That's the gold ETF. I know the Fed is threatening to hike interest rates once again, but Bitcoin has gone up. BlackRock wants Bitcoin. Powell says nice thing about Bitcoin because the dollar is so effed. It's so effed. And they all know it. And the thing that's funny is that has not yet been reflected in gold. I don't know if they're artificially suppressing this or if people just haven't come around to this whole idea about what is going to happen with the dollar now at the end of the year and into next year. Okay. Gold futures, some hidden pivot analysis, support at 1915. I mean, it's a new local low and it's over. It's over, right? It was at 2,100. Now it's at 1,900. I mean, it's discount shopping in gold. Teacup and handle in Bitcoin. Handles over here can be difficult, right? Now, there was a stream of difficulty from April through June, admittedly. So that could be your handle. This could be your takeoff, but this blue squat bar, frequently squat bars appear. This comes from Bill Williams' analysis. Those come within 2 or 3 candles of the top. So if there is going to be a dip, you would actually expect it right at the end of the month, right? In other words, when people have finally exhausted themselves about moving from tech stocks to Bitcoin, when that kind of forced buying is over, then you may get the correction. Okay, Polkadot seems to have made a bottom at 422. I really hope it holds. It actually has a shot at doing so unless Total 3 falls apart. Stay tuned for that chart. Again, a reminder about 326 in MicroStrategy. You may be wondering, Bill, how will I know that I have to pay up? Well, if MicroStrategy makes a close on a 3-day chart above 326. MicroStrategy breaks out, the market breaks out because this diamond formation is really powerful. Conversely, if MicroStrategy doesn't break out above 326, you might have some time, right? In other words, buy breakouts. People in equities love that. But if there's no breakout, you can wait. Now, Galaxy Digital. Here's something I don't really understand. Back in November of 2020, Galaxy Digital, the stock of a major crypto hedge fund, traded around $5. The stock of Galaxy Digital at present trades around $5. You got to know these guys have been scooping up Bitcoin. They have more Bitcoin than you would think. And then this whole idea of like Web3 being dead, or there's no way to make money, say in like the venture capital arm or investing in what's next in crypto. I mean, if you think these guys can't pull that off, or these guys aren't waiting to hoover up any capitulation in September or October, you better think again. Personally, not investment advice. I think this stock can go to $6.70. And I think you could be looking at like a long-term buy zone for this stock. Yes, I get it. MicroStrategy. It's safer and easier for a company to get Bitcoin exposure to buy an actual company like MicroStrategy than it is to mess around in any particular ETF. It's just that simple. It's easier to buy a stock than it is to buy some sort of derivative product. Galaxy Digital, the stock of a hedge fund that benefits when crypto goes up, right? It's that simple. And if Coinbase actually gets acquired, right, that chart's unbelievable. Down on Gensler, back up again on BlackRock. If Coinbase ever got acquired, I bet Galaxy would be one of the M&A or investment banks that are involved in that acquisition. Okay, so $5 for this stock, where's it going? Back to 4? What's the upside? 6, 20? Okay, Nvidia. So this is a weekly chart of Nvidia. Okay, this is the chip maker that is directly benefiting from AI as of now. 13 and 9 top on a weekly chart. Now, everybody is doing BTFD. You have been paid to do BTFD in Nvidia. Nvidia is not as expensive as some of the, go-go stocks from the 90s like Cisco when everybody was connecting themselves to the internet. That said, unless there's something going on here that I don't know about, this does seem a little bit ridiculous. Now, if it continues, if that 9 top doesn't result in a top, well, then it's going to continue. But everybody seems really, really bullish about this. And it's amazing how people love this. And decentralized AI and altcoins are getting wasted, right? This divergence has to get rectified in some way. Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Okay, so this is your classic DeMark work, right? The first part of the trend is called setup. It counts these little numbers 1 through 9. So if the low is lower than the low 4 days ago, the bar gets a number. Okay. So you'll go all the way to a 9 and then it'll stop. There'll be a counter trend move like this failed rally here. And if the rally fails, it'll do what's called countdown, where you'll have 13 down bars. This is pretty much textbook. Right now, Ethereum versus Bitcoin is on a 12 And there will probably be one final puke where Bitcoin either outperforms massively or ETH gets hit as a part of, altcoin carnage at month end, right? Every crypto hedge fund is going to have to dump every losing altcoin position because of Gensler. They're just going to have to liquidate and move to Bitcoin. Or they're going to have to liquidate and move to ETH, but ETH is going to do worse than Bitcoin probably for the next 3 days. We're waiting for one final heave, and then I'm actually interested in ETH after July 4th. Right? But in the meantime, everybody in the media is like Ethereum is no good, which is why you want to look for the day when Ethereum does do the big bounce against Bitcoin. I'm guessing that's 3 to 4 days away. Now, the tactical picture in Bitcoin, a 13 top on the 4-hour chart up here in the top right. Okay. Somebody is actually noting that the government is going to maybe say no to China for Nvidia to send chips to China. That could be a catalyst. Got to watch out for that. It's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Now you've got a 13 top here in Bitcoin. You could have one more, you could have 1 or 2 more days of downside. This 13 top had no impact. This 13 top is at least having some impact. It's not like Bitcoin's falling apart or anything, but you may have a break in all this FOMO buying. ETH is the same thing. ETH had a 13 top right at 1912. I was kind of wondering if ETH would go through that. Obviously not. So this does not bode well for altcoins. More on that right here. Okay, so this is total market cap. And here's the good news. Total crypto market cap will probably have support around 1 trillion. Right now it's at 1.13. So that means, as we discussed, limited dips in Bitcoin, probably to Michael Saylor's average price of 28K, and you might have to wait anywhere from a week to a month to get it. However, once this thing does take off, you can have total crypto market cap at 1.5 trillion if you use hidden pivot analysis. How long does that take? Maybe it takes a couple of months. It took a couple of months to make this uptrend, keeping in mind this is a 3-day chart, but it's an interesting technical point that 1 trillion in total crypto market cap is a very important technical point. Altcoins, Cardano. With a heavy heart, I am obliged to tell you that DeMark Elliott wave, right, D wave on the Cardano daily chart points to a new low for this move. So you could have panic selling. You could have panic selling in things like Cardano. Okay. XRP, on the other hand, this month seems like that 4 count, right? So here on when you have a trend starting, if it's a downtrend, you sell on the 4 and that worked. And if it's an uptrend, you buy on the 4. So if you have panic selling in altcoins, you could have people moving into XRP, and you've seen the parabolic moves. Maybe you haven't in Monero and Bitcoin Cash. When people want to buy something and it comes out of nowhere, it comes out of nowhere fast, right? The future of money is being established right now as we speak. Okay, total 3. You do not want to see total 3 below 319 billion. This is a linear regression channel. Okay, this is a 3-day chart of total 3, which is crypto market cap without Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, this little dotted line is a little nifty thing that the regression channel draws. And I don't know if you want to stick around if total 3 slips below 319. Like here it held and altcoins rally. Here it broke back in November and altcoins fell. I do not want to see a failed rally in altcoin market cap here, because the biggest risk to Bitcoin, in other words, if you wanted to make yourself feel good about missing Bitcoin, you look at this and you say to yourself, if there's a problem with stocks or there's a problem with interest rates and altcoins as speculative assets get wasted, Okay. Altcoins could make a new low. Now, I know nobody wants to hear that, right? I know nobody wants to hear that. But Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP may be like the three strong survivors. Maybe you throw in some privacy coins or Litecoin because of the halving, etc. There is still a lot of potential here. Let's hope altcoins keep it together. But if you missed the rally in Bitcoin, altcoins can weigh heavy on this market. Okay. They can weigh heavy on this market. Now, one of the reasons why you have to be careful of altcoins is from the seemingly boring world of equities. This is IEF. It's an ETF representing short-term government bonds. There was a 9 bottom here. There was a counter trend rally. And that rally for this quarter so far has failed. And the economy sucks. So why is it that no one is interested in buying US bonds despite the fact that the economy kind of sucks? Because you realize that this could be an absolute disaster if this 9 bottom, it's just quarterly. Can you imagine 13 quarters of our bonds going down? Oh my God, right? That's 3 years. So if that is in fact the case, like I said, this is something you got to be careful of, because if our bond market falls apart, stock markets and risk assets also fall apart. Same thing with long bonds, right? Everything goes straight down. It's a quarterly basis. June is the end of the second quarter. No one is interested in the fact that there's a 9 bottom. Nobody's going, hey, let's buy long bonds. Now, yeah, some people are, right? Big pension funds probably will be. It's cheap enough for them to do it. I get it. But you don't want to see our bond market. You don't want to see interest rates go up. Now, the fact that there's no one is interested in our bonds is a problem for the dollar. So here's my guy, DC, dim it on Twitter. Okay. Sometimes his legacy speak needs to be translated, so I'd be happy to help. Okay. The black line is the Purchasing Managers Index. Basically, it shows the economy is falling out of bed because the Purchasing Managers survey shows weak economic activity. And this has been going on for some time. Now, in the meantime, the blue line, which is interest rates, 10-year yields to be specific, continue to rally and stay high. Why is that? Right? If the economy is falling out of bed, bonds should go up, rates should go down. Why are bonds not going up? Right? What's up with this? Well, because no one wants the dollar. No one is using the dollar. No one has extra dollars out there to go, oh yeah, I'll buy some treasury bonds. There's no demand for the dollar. It's right here. It's right here. Economy falling out of bed. Nobody buying our bonds. What do you use to buy our bonds? The dollar. So if the dollar is effed as it is right before your eyes, gold's got to go up. Bitcoin's got to go up. When they get done panicking in altcoins, you're going to have super juicy prices for Ethereum, right? And Ethereum may not follow the rest of the altcoin space. You may have Avalanche, Ethereum, XRP, and Polkadot, and everything may get wasted. You may see some really weird stuff going on in crypto because everything from the last cycle that didn't matter may vaporize. But if it does, there are going to be things like Ethereum, like Bitcoin, that benefit when the dollar disappears. Notice how no one's talking about the dollar, and you should be. You should be talking about the dollar, right? That, and of course, we're a divided society. As I said at the start of the show, if you cannot make pizza in New York City, you should sell the currency. Now, Jim Cramer says, if you short the NASDAQ, invite me to your crater. Now, NASDAQ has gone up. It has paid to pound the table on this type of thing. Cramer has been long NASDAQ like the whole way up and right. So we have to give the guy credit. However, if you look at this thing, if you look at this particular tweet out 3 months, what will you say? You'll say, uh-oh, Cramer bought the top. Okay, wrong again says, 1750 ETH in a worst case scenario. I personally think ETH is going to be pinned at 1900. Okay. Brandon says, what's the new shiny altcoins for the next cycle? Okay. Well, we're working on that. Obviously, I work for Gold Retriever or Emerging Asset Group, where we're going to have a gold token. We're going to have GLDN, right? A native token for commodities. We're going to have Bark. That's a water token. Check the temperatures outside and the drought in the Midwest. We're going to have Block 47, which is diamonds in the New York Diamond District on the blockchain. And we are going to have our own gold token, mirroring packs where we actually have physical gold backing the tokens. Okay. The next cycle is privacy. The coins that haven't been invented yet that will be invented for the next cycle will be privacy, right? Look at Monero. Look at Litecoin, which has a privacy feature. All of these coins have done well. Next cycle, privacy and utility. Okay. That is the market update. All right. Daniel J, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Silas says the dollar is in short supply abroad. Okay. That's a good point. Right. I understand that, when things get tough, there can be demand for dollars in other countries, right? Which is why the dollar does at least hold itself. The dollar index holds above 100. But the big question is, why is nobody buying our bonds? Okay. Eurorack says, I only trust inverse Kramer. Okay. Mark said, yes, we need a new gold token. And I agree. Okay, so Caspa near its high. Okay, if you do hidden pivot analysis on this, once I share the screen, if you do hidden pivot analysis using this daily chart, okay, Caspa is probably at the high and has to get above 0.0279 to take off again. There, I'm sharing the screen. Sorry about that. 0.0279. Okay, so let me just show you how I got that. So that's hidden pivot analysis from here to here to here, right? Okay, if you want to give it a little more room, it's 0.028. So it's got some room to come back. Okay. Be advised that crypto hedge funds have absolutely got to sell at the end of the month. They're not going to sell Bitcoin. Okay. They're not. All right. Now let's talk about, let's talk about possibilities in Ethereum. Okay. Here is a big regression channel in Ethereum. Rung again was asking about 1750. 1750 is the bottom of the regression channel. I would say if you were looking for the juicy dip, that would be where the juicy dip would occur in ETH. And again, this is all going to be driven by altcoins, and who knows, Bitcoin may go nowhere, right? And also of note in Ethereum, you have the Williams oscillator, right near zero. Kind of hard to show these things, but this right here means there's going to be a big move in ETH, like a big one. Okay. Now you have to at least be open to the fact that that could be down. Okay. But the Williams oscillator in ETH is kind of telling you something. Expect a big move. So in Williams, with this awesome oscillator, that's literally what it's called right there. Okay. That was that oscillator near zero. And that's where you got the sudden big rally in ETH. So you do have to be careful about what happens with altcoins, because no risk manager or no risk management computer system at crypto hedge funds is going to go, oh, the SEC is after crypto, but that's okay. I think we'll hold all of our shit coins the way they are. No, right? They're all going to have to adjust their positions. You're going to have all kinds of gymnastics, and all of these coins are vulnerable at the end of the quarter. Now, again, just bringing this up with, like, say, Uniswap. Not picking on Uniswap, but here is a Williams squat bar. Normally, when you get a squat bar, it's within 2 or 3 bars of a top. So there's the squat bar, there's 2 bars, there's the top. Okay. If you look at Bitcoin, there's a squat bar right there, this little blue bar. Okay. And you have 2 candles. So there is resistance at 30. I know it feels like you missed out, but, you know, maybe there'll be a dip, right? Maybe you don't have to be in a hurry. Okay. So Silas, it says, with Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, ETH, and Litecoin, I should be well set up this summer. Aiken, welcome. I would say that with these coins, or with the coins of your choice, you would be set up if you can grab them in September on any consternation or dollar cost average, right? Which can be tricky, right? But if you can come out of September and October long crypto and then increase the position in December and January, okay, that's according to my work and according to Toby, right? That's the timing where you want to be. What you don't want to have happen is you don't want to get shaken out. Okay. Now, Crypto Trends reminds us that leveraged ETF was already released yesterday. Okay. So I thought that was the article was a little unclear, but if you want to know why crypto's down, that's why crypto's down, because every time they release a new ETF product, boom, crypto goes lower. Okay. So let's sum it up. Don't get chopped up. Okay. Bitcoin's probably in a range between, 28 and 35. Okay. If Bitcoin does go to 25K, it'll be because altcoins are getting destroyed and it'll look like the end of the world. My attitude is it isn't. Okay. The altcoins from the prior cycle are going to get dumped. Now, I know that sucks because you may be holding some of them. I may be holding some of them because I work at GLDN and I have 2 small cap altcoins. Now, I like my small cap altcoins because I like the fundamentals behind what we do. That's why I work there. But every altcoin from back in 2020 probably is not going to make it. And you have to make a decision for yourself, because the thing you don't want to have happen is you don't want to get killed in last cycle's altcoins when Bitcoin and the next round of stuff comes out. Okay. Carlos is asking, what is the probability for spot Bitcoin ETF to be approved? Honestly, 0. It's a publicity stunt. That's what I think. Like, everyone's like, oh, whatever BlackRock is doing is going to get approved. BlackRock wouldn't submit it if they didn't think it was going to be approved. Maybe. Or maybe BlackRock bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin down at 15, 16, 20, and they bought it after Gensler came in. And now they're all talking their book. Fidelity's been mining Bitcoin since 2015. Okay. So everyone's like, oh my God, there's a coup in Russia. It wasn't a coup. Oh my God, Budweiser has lost its mind. All those people involved in that got fired. Right? Oh my God, BlackRock's coming out with an ETF. Why would the SEC approve any Bitcoin ETF? Like, maybe this time is different because they want to kill altcoins, and maybe they just turn around and go, F you. Right? Maybe BlackRock is actually creating an event where they get rejected, so everybody sells Bitcoin, at which point they're down there buying it. Like, everyone thinks BlackRock is going to get an ETF so you can own Bitcoin. That's also possible, but BlackRock is the one who wants to own Bitcoin. So does Fidelity and all these other places. So yes, everyone sees a need for Bitcoin. Yes, BlackRock should get what it wants. But you know what? If BlackRock doesn't get what it wants, it wins anyway, because people will sell. And when you sell, you will be selling your Bitcoin to these guys, right? Meanwhile, certain altcoins are going to get sold by hedge funds, and I don't anticipate that stopping anytime soon, right? Between now and say the 4th of July, altcoins are probably going to get smacked. And then again, in July, the thing everybody may have to ask themselves is, why does nobody want to buy US bonds? That's when the problem with the dollar, that's when it all surfaces. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this Russia thing, if the United States was involved. It's all about creating distractions. Everything is a distraction from what's actually going on with our bond market and our currency. That's the market update. We will see you Friday, abbreviated schedule this week and next week. See you Friday.